Hello everyone, speak with me again, Andreas. So today, I'm sorry that I cannot have a meeting with you, but if you want to have a meeting, it is okay to have it on Saturday or Sunday. All right, so in replace to what I'm going to be missing on a Wednesday, I will give you a brief recording about speaking again. So because this topic is about speaking, and we'll learn more about speaking, of course. So let me share my screen and I will start my presentation. Okay, give me 1 second. All right, so let's start with the material first. Okay, I'll minimize this one. Right, so I'm going to present this. Okay, give me a second. All right, so let's start from the beginning first. So I hope that everyone is doing fine and Mbak Sasa is also fine, yeah, Mbak. Hopefully everything is running smoothly with you all, okay? So again, if you were aware of your speaking, it's a matter of talking with an examiner. So it doesn't test only your English basically. So we will learn the four aspects that may assess your speaking. But in my opinion, most importantly, it deals with the mental capacity when you talk with an native or with the examiner in this case. So we're going to cover these 6 points. First of all, we'll talk more about IELTS speaking. Second point, we'll talk about the part one, and then part two, part three, additional resources, and practice, of course. As for the practice, I hope that you can send your recordings to me through WhatsApp or through emails, and I will give you feedbacks based on the four aspects of the assessment, okay? So what's in store? So basically in the speaking, it consists of three, as you know, and we have practiced the first two bits. The first is introduction, monologue, and we're going to have the discussion, of course. So I want to focus on this part later on, yeah? So please do the complete practice and I will give you feedback on the third part more maybe because it has a higher share than the others, yeah? Okay, so criteria, there are four aspects that are used to score your speaking performance. First of all is your fluency and coherence. So again, as I mentioned many times, I've heard a lot of people who can speak English fluently, but whether they can speak accurately and coherently, that's another issue, yeah? So we do not ask you to only speak fluently, but also coherently, grammatically correct, or in other words, accurate, and the lexical resources that you have are varied. That would be a great practice to use different vocabularies. Just like I mentioned earlier, show off that you can use myriads of vocabularies. And then your pronunciation, definitely, because it will also determine your ability in speaking. So as for the fluency and coherence, do you speak fluently? Do you link your ideas together and clearly? This may sound familiar because it also deals with the writing that you have, right? As for the lexical resource, I cannot suggest other things than reading lots of literature, and then you can improve your vocabularies definitely. Okay, so improving vocabularies will help you improve your score in this case. As for the grammatical arrange and accuracy, please bear in mind that you are bound to the grammatical rules. I mean, the grammars that the examiners use to explain the questions, right? So again, please make sure that you answer all the questions using the correct tenses, whether it is present, past, or future. Yeah. Right. Next, as for the pronunciation, of course, it's going to be silly if you can speak English but your pronunciation is bad. So of course you need to have a good pronunciation. In other words, if you have wrong pronunciations, that will result in different meanings, of course. For example, you want to say the verb record, yeah, and it is a verb, but it is a noun, it should be record, yeah. Okay, let's move on. So again, if you can give me your recordings, I will give you feedback based on these four things. Once I get to the States, I'll reply your recordings, yeah. But of course, I will let you know via WhatsApp later on. Right, next slide. So there are 5 steps to assess your own speaking. You can do it by yourself, basically. But how to assess them? First is you need to get some real IELTS questions. So you can browse lots of questions on the internet. But if I made to test the sites or the links that I usually use, like IELTS List or IELTS Express, you can use them, of course. Or the questions that are given to you, for example, based on the Cambridge books that you can use for your own practice. Second step is you need to get someone to read the questions or do it yourself. So please read the questions so that I know which question that you're referring to, or you can give me the PDF file that you're trying to answer that consists the questions, okay? As for step number 3, you need to record your practice, yeah? So I hope that you can send the recordings using the Zoom like this, like what I'm doing at the moment, because I want to see your expression as well, because expressions will also help you in conveying your ideas or delivering your messages. And you need to listen to your recording and evaluate. So basically you can listen to your own speaking and you can tell me what you think of your own speaking, yeah? And the last step is to take actions on weak areas and repeat. For example, if your weak areas are in the lexical resources, you want to improve the vocabularies, or you want to improve the coherence level, yeah, you can practice more, and then you can ask me to give feedback, perhaps, if you think that you are already satisfied with your performance. Okay. Okay. Next, as for part 1, it's, in my opinion, it's kind of ice breaking, to be honest, because it asks you about familiar questions, about daily questions like, "Hello, Pak Agung, how are you?" And usually the question asks you about daily questions. "Hi, Pak Agung, what's your hobby? May I know your hobby?" And so on. So it's basically a warm up before you get to the serious questions like those in part 2 or part 3, of course. So the examiner will ask you familiar questions and everyday questions about your life, and that will last around 4 to 5 minutes. Basically, we use 4 to 5 questions. So if you can manage answering one answer in 1 minute by saying 2 or 3 sentences, that will help you get to the 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Next. So you need to know what the do's and the don'ts for your speaking. Yeah. First of all, you need to know what to expect. So just imagine that you are the examiner of the speaking. So what do you expect from your examinees? Yeah. So you want your examinees or your test takers to show their ability of speaking without any arduous work. So it's just like speaking Indonesian, you need to speak fluently and accurately. So in my opinion, it's just, yeah, just a rule of thumb that they ask you to speak fluently but also accurately. Yeah. So you need to know what to expect. So for part 1, you don't need to just ask, or you may not just answer. I mean, yes or no, or yes I do, no I don't. But you need to elaborate by giving 1 or 2 sentences. Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example later on, definitely. Yeah. And the second bit, you need to create a good first impression. So in my opinion, if you want to have a good impression, you need to smile, of course. Yeah, you need to smile, and then you need to send a positive vibe to the examiner, of course. And you need to pretend that you're interested in the question. Well, basically, you don't need to pretend. Try as you can that you can get involved get tuned into the examination and enjoy the questions, just like what I said, enjoy the moment. Okay. Okay, and then you can extend your answers. So just like I said, you cannot just say yes I do, no I don't, but you need to tell the examiners in what sense, or in what on what occasions are you interested in, and then give examples if you were having no idea about what you're talking about. So just give examples to elaborate your answers. Next, practice. Okay, so again, practicing. If you think you can do it independently and you want me to check your work, that would be a good idea, because I'm here for you to check your work, just like what we're about to do after this. Yeah. Okay. Next, as about the don'ts, you cannot just say yes I do or no I don't, yes I can or no I cannot, or yes I like it, no I don't like it. But you need to say yes I like it because the food tastes awesome, and the kind of food is similar to the Indonesian taste that I like. For example, the spicy food when it talks about the spicy food, of course, yeah. And you cannot go off topic. So this was my mistake when I was taking my IELTS speaking, when the examiner asked me about questions on robots, and I was not interested in robots, to be honest, and I was not into robots at all. But I I give examples on the robotic applications on cars, for example, using the computers and stuff. But it didn't quite do the trick, basically. So you need to answer the questions on the topic like spot on. That's the expected answers. You can predict yourself basically what the answers might be, and you cannot give no answer. Basically, if you do not understand the questions, please ask the examiner. You can ask the examiners to repeat what the questions are or what the question is, and you can ask, "I beg your pardon," or Would you mind repeating that again? Sorry, I couldn't hear you well. Would you mind repeating it again?" And so on. And you cannot speak very quietly because the examiner is happy to uh, show to see your expression, and if you are expressive, it's a good point because it will help you explain your intended meaning, of course. And you cannot be a perfectionist. Again, there is no perfect speaking with the all 9 pen score for the 4 topics, as far as I know. So do not expect that you're going to be a perfect speaker, but if you can do so, that's good. So, but do not be discouraged if you cannot speak perfectly, but that's fine. But you need to speak good enough to get 7, 8, or higher. Yeah. Next. So this is an example of part one questions. Where is your hometown? What is your hometown like? Do you often visit your hometown? What is there for a foreigner to do or see in your hometown? And so on. Yeah. I will choose 4 questions. Yeah, I haven't practiced this myself. You can practice this. You can pause this video and you can practice your own. That should be fine. But let me give you an example for this. So, for example, my name is Andreas, and the examiner actually asked me this question. Hi, Andreas, where is your hometown? So my hometown is in Malang. It is located in East Java. It's in Indonesia, of course. My hometown is famous for foods. So if you want to do culinary things, you can do so in Malang. So I could guarantee you that Malang is the best choice that you can select to taste the Indonesian foods. What is your hometown like? Well, Malang is quite cold in comparison to most cities in Indonesia, I would say. So the daily temperature there is like 20, 21 degrees Celsius. And I like living there because the people are also nicer than those who live in other cities, as far as I know. Do you often visit your hometown? Well, currently I live in my hometown in Malang because of the work from home policy and because of the restriction policy enforced by the government. And yeah, I often visit my hometown, even I'm currently living there. And I don't plan to go back to Surabaya for now because I can work from home and I have family that is prone to be infected by the virus. What is there for a foreigner to do or see in your hometown? So basically, not much to see, to be honest, because people in my hometown usually work. We have business parks, we have business spaces. But as for tourism, I would say you can go to the nearby hometown that used to be part of my hometown. It is called Batu, actually. So Batu area was a part of Malang, but now it has become independent. And people usually call Batu to be still in part of this hometown, Malang, and so on. So you need to explain it clearly, explain extensively as far as you know, and don't forget the tips that we have obtained from the videos that we watched. Yeah, the other day or last week. Sorry if I touched my hair too much. It's kind of messy because I just had a long journey to the airport. Sorry for that. So where was I? Yeah. So be passionate, be expressive, explain your answers as clearly as possible. Definitely, yeah. As for part two, you'll be given a few cards, just like what we did together. Yeah. So if I have, we will have actually, not if, yeah, when we have the opportunities to speak one by one, I will be more intense in giving feedbacks. And if you can ask me later on in what part that you are lacking of. So whether it is the grammar, the vocabulary, the coherence, or the content itself. Yeah, if you find it difficult to find content, you can make up your mind basically. And just like someone asked the question whether it is okay to lie, well, that's definitely okay, because the question do not ask you to tell your experience like in an honest way. It asks you to speak in a comprehensively in a comprehensive way. I mean, sorry. And I hope that you can tell your stories without any hesitations or without any lack of comprehension in that sense. Okay, now about part two. Well, I don't quite agree with the first point, because you have to talk about every bullet point. Yeah, every bullet point, maybe, because you can cover 2 minutes for the 4 or 5 questions that are given. And you need to have the strategy, of course, is especially the time management. It's like I said, you can go one by one, because it will help you speak and it will help you structure your speech. And practice makes perfect. Practice makes better, definitely. And you need to use 1 minute wisely. As for the preparation time, so as for the preparation time, you need to think about the words that you can use, the vocabularies that you might use. Secondly, you can talk about the structure. The third one, you give examples, and this is the part when you need to think about how to improve your score. So you need to remember. This is 1 minute is for you to remember what smart words that you can use, what signposting words that you can use, and uh, you need to use the grammatical, varieties of grammars that I have taught you previously. You can use simple sentence, definitely you can use that. Complex sentence, compound sentence, conditional sentence. You can use rhetorical questions, and you can use reduced adjective clause and uh, other patterns, of course. And again, it's okay to tell a lie, but you need to expand your idea. So you need to tell the examiner that you are really into the questions, and you will answer the questions comprehensively, definitely. And don't be too perfectionist, because uh, when you think about people talking, of course they make mistakes, and that's understandable. The kind of mistakes that they have may not contain the what you call it, not the grammar thingy, not the mechanical parts, but it deals with the content. Yeah. So just imagine when you talk in Indonesian, basically. So people do mistakes, right? But they don't think about what is the grammar for this Indonesian. No, no, we don't do that, right? Okay, so for 1 to 2 minutes, you need to decide, yeah, uh, for the past, present, or future. Yeah, you need to use the introduction first. I'd like to talk about my hometown and so on. Yeah, in the past, present, and future, each and every sentence that you use will demonstrate different abilities. As for the present, you can demonstrate your ability to use past tenses. As for the present tenses, you can talk about description and opinion. Definitely, in my opinion, when I think of it, or to my mind, or in my opinion, or in my viewpoint, or I believe that, and so on. As for the future reference, use present continuous or simple present tense or will. It's okay, yeah? Okay. So this is an example that you will have. Describe a website you use that helps you a lot in your work or studies. You should say what the website is, how often you use the website, what information the website gives you, and explain how your work or studies would change if the website didn't exist. You can use this questions, this set of questions for your speaking, and send your recording to me, or you can choose other sets of practices that, but please give me the sets of questions that I can follow through your speech. Yeah. As for part three, this is your opportunity to really develop your answers and discuss the issues brought up by the examiner. And again, this part has the biggest share of all the speaking part, okay? And the topic will be linked to the topic you discussed in part two, and this will last about 4 to 5 minutes, okay? Again, for part three, you need to elaborate more. You need to show your ability in speaking more than in the other parts, okay? There are a few tips for you. You need to ask questions if the questions are not clear enough. You can say, I beg your pardon, or you can say, pardon me, or I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that? Okay, and so on. If you do not understand the question, you can ask them to explain. Can you elaborate more? Sorry, I don't get the question clearly. Would you help me with that? And so on. Yeah, he or she will help you in understanding the question. Yeah. And you need to attempt to answer all questions. Yeah. Just like I said, I had an experience when I cannot or I couldn't answer one question, and that's a bad experience, of course. Please try to answer all the questions. Give yourself time to think by using certain words or phrases. You can say, I'm sorry, let me think for a while. Or that's a good question though, but let me think for a while. It's okay. Yeah, and extend your answer. Again, one best tip for you, if you're losing words, if you don't have any more ideas, you can extend your answers through examples, or by using in other words, or using phrases like what I mean is that, and so on. Okay. Okay, this is another set of questions that you can use for your recordings. Just let me know which uh, sets of questions that you choose. Okay, and here's a link to the sample questions. I believe that you get it. This slide, I believe that you have got this slides already, so you can click all the links there. Okay, and we can practice. Please send me your recordings, and I will give you feedbacks based on your performance, and I will give you feedbacks based on the 4 points that I've explained before. Okay, thank you so much, and I will see you again in the classroom. Okay, I'm so sorry that I cannot attend the class because of my flight. So again, good luck for your practices, and I'm looking forward to receiving your recording soon. Bye bye. I will see you in the States. Cheers.